Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome and congratulations. The Postbac Premed Class Day ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. If you could please find your way to your seats. Graduates, please sit in the graduate seating section. Guests, you're welcome to sit anywhere in the guest seating sections. Thank you so much.
Please be seated. Let me start off by saying congratulations to the amazing graduates of the Columbia University Postbaccalaureate Premedical Pre-Health Program. Let's give a round of applause for these amazing students. A warm welcome to Columbia University Low Library to our Class Day ceremony celebrating the amazing accomplishments, hard work, perseverance of the 2023 graduates of the Columbia University Postbaccalaureate Pre-Medical Pre-Health Program. My name is Lisa Rosen-Metsch, and I have the great honor to be Dean of the Columbia School of General Studies, or GS as we know it. On behalf of your amazing advising deans, your faculty, and the wonderful staff of Columbia GS, I want to welcome you and your families to this momentous occasion. Graduates today, take a moment to stand up and thank the people who supported you, whether they're here in this room or they're with you in some other way. Please stand up and thank the people here. I see a lot of proud faces in this room, and you absolutely should be. These students, these graduates today are simply amazing. Welcome to our student speaker, Andrea Abi-Karam. We are especially proud of you, and we cannot wait to hear what you'll say to us. And we are especially honored to also welcome today our keynote speaker, Professor and Dean Carlos Del Rio from the Emory School of Medicine. And I will properly introduce Dr. Del Rio in a few moments. Again, I would also like to welcome and thank deeply the distinguished members of the Columbia faculty who are here today, who have been your mentors and champions over the past years. It is our extraordinary faculty who make the Postbac Premed Pre-Health program at Columbia the most prestigious program in the United States and the world. So thank you to the faculty. I also want to welcome Dr. Judy Tanenbaum, a distinguished alumna, a psychiatrist, and a member of our board. Thank you, Judy, for your steadfast support of our program. The Columbia Postbac Premed Pre-Health program is designed to challenge students who come from programs in the humanities and social sciences and other disciplines to achieve levels of distinction in the sciences that, when combined with your prior academic and life experiences, makes these students strong candidates for medical school or for advanced study in the health sciences. What makes our students particularly exceptional candidates is the way that they further combine the depth and rigor of their science education with a genuine passion for helping and healing others, demonstrated by their many hours of hands-on volunteer clinical work. You are all finishing your program and preparing for your next step in your medical education at an extremely important time for medicine. The world has never needed more capable, compassionate health professionals than it does at this moment. The COVID-19 pandemic showed us and reminded us that doctors and healthcare providers, the people who were on the front lines during the pandemic, have been nothing short of heroic over the last few years. Our health providers in this nation and around the world worked quietly, humbly, and at great sacrifice to their own well-being and that of their families. This ethos, the unwavering drive to make a difference and to help others, is what brought you, each of you, to the gates here in Morningside Heights at Columbia University. You are scientists, but also humanists, artists, and social scientists, people committed to social justice and many other very interesting disciplines. You are all dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and the alleviation of suffering. I am convinced that you enter upon your careers as healthcare professionals fully equipped to grapple with all the challenges that you will face. As you prepare to take the next step towards medical school or another health school, remember the power you hold as future healthcare providers. You are entering a noble profession, one that requires both intellect and heart. In a world where healthcare disparities persist, I urge you to be agents of change, to use your knowledge and skills to bridge the gaps that divide us, and to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. Your commitment to medicine is not simply a career choice. It is a calling to serve humanity with compassion and integrity. I want to once again extend my heartfelt congratulations to the remarkable members of the 2023 class of the Postbac Premedical Pre-Health program. Your achievements are a testament again to your hard work, and we cannot underestimate that word, dedication and resilience. As you move forward in your journey, remember the values instilled within you during your time at Columbia, your intellectual curiosity, your ethical responsibility, and a commitment to social justice. May you go forth and make a profound impact on the world, guided by the principles of excellence, compassion, and service. Congratulations again. Speaking of people who have changed the world, it is now both a privilege and a pleasure for me to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Carlos Del Rio. Dr. Del Rio is the Leon Haley Jr., MD, Distinguished Professor of Medicine in the Division of Infectious Disease at Emory University School of Medicine, and Interim Dean of Emory University School of Medicine. He is also a professor of global health and professor of epidemiology at the Rollins School of Public Health. Dr. Del Rio's research has much breadth and depth. Some of his main focuses have been on the early diagnosis, access to care, engagement in care, adherence with antiretrovirals, and the prevention of HIV infection. He has worked for over 2 decades with marginalized populations to improve clinical care and outcomes in the U.S. and throughout the world. He has authored 30 book chapters and over 500 scientific papers. Dr. Del Rio is the chair of the Scientific Advisory Board of PEPFAR, member of UN Scientific and Technical Advisory Committee, and president of the Infectious Disease Society of America. In 2013, Dr. Del Rio was elected to the National Academy of Medicine, and in 2020, he was elected as the International Secretary of the National Academy of Medicine. In 2022, he was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Among his many honors are the James H. Nakano Citation, received in 2001 and awarded by the CDC for an outstanding scientific paper published in 2000, the Emory University Marion Creekmore Achievement Award for Internationalization, the Thomas Jefferson Award from Emory University, the highest award conferred by Emory to a faculty or staff member who has significantly enriched the intellectual and civic life of the Emory community, the Oltley Award from the Government of Mexico for work that benefits communities of Mexican origin living in the U.S., the American Public Health Association Award for Excellence in Public Health, and I could just go on and on. In 2021, he was recognized by the Carnegie Corporation of New York as a great immigrant, great American, and he was recently recognized by the CDC Office of Minority Health and Health Equity as a health equity champion. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Del Rio has been a leader locally, nationally, internationally, doing research, developing policies, writing scientific publications, and appearing many, many nights on CNN, communicating the latest scientific research and calming the nation and making sure that science was always first. He's advised municipal, state, and national leaders, including Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, Tyler Perry Studios, the NCAA, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Atlantic Symphony Orchestra, and again, I could go on and on. I just want to end here by adding some personal remarks about Dr. Del Rio. I realize that I had the honor to meet Dr. Del Rio going back 24 years ago in 1999. We were a lot younger, Carlos, at that point. It was just a few years after HIV had transformed from essentially a death sentence to a chronic disease. But with these tremendous advances in antiretroviral at that time, and even more so today, not surprisingly, there were people left behind and people from marginalized communities who were not benefiting from these advances. Dr. Del Rio, Carlos and I were principal investigators together, the first study we worked on together, to test and produce the first evidence-based intervention to link people newly diagnosed with HIV to antiretroviral treatment and medical care. This intervention has since become the gold standard model for the field, and then I've had the pleasure and honor to work with Dr. Del Rio for the past 2 decades on numerous studies. These studies all had the goal of reducing barriers and developing innovative approaches to make a more equitable, acceptable, and culturally competent system of care for persons living with and vulnerable to HIV and other infectious diseases. We are so honored he's come here to share some pieces of advice and remarks with you. Please welcome my dear friend and colleague, Carlos Del Rio.
I thought my remarks would be here. Okay, so first of all, thank you, Lisa. As it has it, I'm going to have to say, Houston, we have a problem. I thought my remarks would be here, but obviously they're not. So we have a problem, and so I'm going to tell you a couple things. First of all, let me just say thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm really, truly, truly honored to be here at Columbia and to be here with this group. I want to first say congratulations to the graduating class. And say, congratulations also to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones who have supported you throughout these years of work. You really have completed what I think is a very important step towards your dream of becoming physicians, dentists, veterinarians. You have all done your studies at a time of an unprecedented pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think that while public health emergency was ended yesterday. The pandemic is far from over, and I'm sure, as you realize, the pandemic has deeply impacted a lot of people, has deeply changed our world, but I'm sure it has also, while it has been probably very hard on many of you, I think you've also can say that the pandemic has taught you a lot about yourselves, a lot about society, a lot about compassion, and the importance of caring for others. All of these are important attributes in somebody in the health profession. This is, for me, a particularly important year because this is the 40th anniversary of my graduating from medical school. And as I reflect on my own career, I realized that my career was defined by a pandemic, the HIV pandemic, which was only recognized in 1981. So when I was in medical school, we didn't know about this disease, and it was discovered in my senior year, and then, in fact, didn't have a name until I was already in residency. And I think there's several pandemics and epidemics that are currently out there and are going to impact your lives and your careers regardless of what you do. And while this is not a comprehensive list, I'm going to tell you which ones I worry the most about. The first one is the epidemic of gun violence that has engulfed our nation. This year alone, there have been more mass shootings than days in the calendar year. In fact, gun violence has now become the leading cause of death of children and teens since surpassing car accidents in 2020. This cannot continue this way, and I urge you, all of you, to think about ways in which you can become involved in addressing this crisis. The second is the opioid epidemic. The current opioid epidemic was started by healthcare providers and the healthcare system overprescribing opioids for pain. The substance use epidemic, it's now much larger than the opioid epidemic, but over 100,000 persons in the US died of an overdose in 2021. In fact, that's a 50% increase from 2019 before the COVID pandemic. Your role as healthcare providers will also be critical here. If you become physicians, you will need to learn how to prescribe medications for opioid use disorder. In addition, all of you will need to learn how to screen for substance use and how to help mitigate the stigma and discriminations that persons with substance abuse suffer in our society. Finally, I think the third pandemic I worry about is a pandemic of misinformation that has become a serious threat to healthcare workers and to public health in general. As individuals and members of the community, and especially as healthcare workers, there's a lot we can do to combat misinformation, but you have to be trained on it. This is not something easy. Be sure to ask wherever you go to continue your studies to get educated on how to address misinformation. As I said previously, I graduated from medical school 40 years ago this year. And given that experience, I want to use this opportunity to also give you some practical advice that will I hope will help to guide you in your future careers as healthcare professionals. I'm sure that over the years you have received a lot of advice, most of which I'm sure you probably don't remember. So I thought today I would offer you one additional piece of advice, but I'm going to make it such as very easy to keep in mind. And my advice is this one: stay hip. H-I-P, okay? Stay hip. The H stands for humility, a willingness to learn from anyone, anytime, and at any venue. The H also stands for honesty. The H stands for leading with your heart. H is also for humor, learning to laugh, especially at yourself, for laughter is the best medicine. And the H is also for healing. Many times won't be able to cure somebody, but you can always heal. The I stands for imagination and intellectual curiosity. Connect the dots, as Steve Jobs used to say. That's the only way to come up with new solutions leading to innovation that impacts the world. Finally, the P stands for passion. Find out what uniquely engages you, and especially if it's also something that is service to others. Combine passion with compassion, and you will have a powerful duo. P also stands for pause. Every so often, please take a moment to reflect in the midst of all your activities. P is also for perspective. encourage and respect differences, and tolerate dissent in ways that right now we don't seem to be able to. So in a nutshell, there you have it. If you stay hip, you will be successful regardless of which field of study you pursue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Del Rio, for these very meaningful remarks and with no speech in front of you. That was great. So I now have the honor of presenting the Alumni Key Award. Each year, the Alumni Key is given to a graduating post-bac pre-med student who has achieved distinction both academically and through service to the post-bac community. The 2023 Alumni Key Award goes to Hannah Ressinger. I'm going to hand Hannah the award and then say a few words so you can hold here. A native of Chicago, Illinois, Hannah graduated from New York University with a degree in ethnomusicology. Very cool. Prior to the post-bac program, Hannah worked as a fundraiser for research in cancer immunotherapy. While at Columbia, Hannah has dedicated her time to supporting students in the post-bac pre-med community. This year, Hannah served as the president of the Postbac Premed Student Council, providing leadership to the board and organizing key programs for the student community. Last year, she served as vice president of medical school fair operations and worked to host one of the largest events of the year for the community. The fair was hosted virtually for the first time over the course of several weeks, spanning many different events. Hannah was also a 2022 recipient of the GS Spirit Award. After finishing the post-bac program, Hannah plans to continue working to gain clinical experience and then take the MCAT in June. Congratulations, Hannah, on all your accomplishments, and thank you from the bottom of my heart and from all of us here for all that you have done for our community. Before turning over the podium to Dean Colgrove, I just want to take a moment to recognize three people and then Dean Colgrove, our amazing, incredible post-bac advising team, Deans Mike Allen, Lamari Carrasquillo, and Andrew Sunshine. Can you please stand up? And then I want to ask Dean Colgrove to please stand up too. This is I now present to you the Dean of the Postbac Pre-Med Pre-Health Program, James Colgrove.
Columbia University pre-medical, pre-dental, and pre-veterinary students, congratulations to you and to the family members, friends, and loved ones who supported you throughout your studies. I'm James Colgrove, the Dean of the Postbac Pre-Med Program, and it is a joy to celebrate with you today. On behalf of the entire Postbac advising team, Deans Andrew Sunshine, Mike Allen, and Limari Carrasquillo, I salute your accomplishments. What a long distance you've traveled. You came to this program as bankers and actuaries, as writers and artists, as computer scientists and athletes and teachers, as students of the social sciences, the humanities, and the arts. And through your study of the biological sciences, you have transformed yourselves, and you have developed new identities as scientists, clinicians, researchers, and healers. You haven't left behind who you were before. Instead, you've integrated the knowledge and skills that you brought to this program into your new selves. Most of all, you've shown your fitness for careers in healthcare through the care that you've shown to each other. You've come together in study groups and happy hours, at panel discussions and fundraisers, in activism and advocacy efforts. You've supported each other through acts of kindness and generosity, both small and large. Your commitment to a vision of collective care and well-being is a model through which we can imagine a better world. As if the Columbia Science curriculum were not difficult enough, the last few years have thrown daunting challenges in your way, from the global epidemiological crisis of COVID to the social crises of injustice and bigotry that grip our country and our healthcare system. And at every turn, you've met those challenges with courage and resolve. If there was ever any doubt at the beginning of your postbac studies that you have what it takes to be healthcare providers, there is no doubt anymore. You've shown your command of the sciences and your commitment to caring for others. You've completed your postbac studies, and you're embarking on the next stage of your professional journey, and I am proud to celebrate with you and to honor your scientific expertise, your wisdom, and your care. It is now my privilege to present the graduates of the Columbia University Postbaccalaureate Premedical program. Hannah Ressinger. L. Cass. Natalia Beller. Isabella Wang. Amanda Luke. Isabella Tincher. Martha McDonald. Talia Adler. Anne-Marie Sykes. Ryan McGivern. Alani Jack. Ryan Ng. Kevin On. Joshua Ham. Max Crownover. Oyedola Ajao. Andrea Abi-Karam. Arthur Hamilton. Finnegan Clark. Brooke Adams. Teddy Jang. Fausto Rodriguez Coelho. Charlotte Wertheimer. Emily Weaver. Gittel Shanegarten. Christina Chow. Cindy Serrano Maradiaga. Cameron Shahidi. Chi Chen. Francis Tsai. Flora Gonzalez. Tucker Tiedemann. Maya Dornbrand Lowe. Victoria Daler. Max Grazel Ward. Laura Oing. Natalie Montufar. Olivia Anakwe. Annabelle Sen. Kajay Jacobs. Leah Gaston. Katie Kavanagh. Jordan Weiss. Brandon Moore. Caitlin Shaw. Sophie Flomenbaum. Matthew Schneider. Avery Junn. Ellie Siddons. Kat Slagle. Tomas Davila. Dustin Lee. Timothy Coe. Congratulations to the class of 2023 of the Columbia Postbac Premed program. Stand up and take a bow. Take a bow. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our student speaker, an admired, respected, and loved member of our Postbac community, Andrea Abi-Karam. Andrea is a trans Arab American poet, workshop facilitator, activist, and future socially conscious physician. They came to the Postbac program with an impressive record of accomplishment in the arts, political activism, and healthcare, having worked in literary nonprofit book publishing and as a volunteer street medic. They are the author of 2 books, Extra Transmission, published in 2019, and Villainy from 2021, both finalists for the Lambda Literary Award in Transgender Poetry. Andrea also co-edited a landmark collection of writing by 72 intergenerational trans poets titled We Want It All, an anthology of radical trans poetics. During their time in the Postbac program, Andrea has engaged in an impressive array of activities outside the classroom. They have been part of the inaugural cohort of Weill Cornell's Surgical Pipeline program and served as the Vice President of Medical Specialties on the Postbac Premed Student Council. Andrea is a health educator at Project Stay and a peer tutor at the Academic Resource Center. Andrea is passionate about queer and trans healthcare, sexual health, global public health, and surgery. Their passion, devotion to service, and commitment to building a better world embody the best of our program, and those qualities will make them a valued member of any medical school that is lucky enough to get them. Please join me in welcoming this year's Postbac Class Day speaker, Andrea Abi-Karam.
Thank you, Dean Colgrove. Good afternoon. And on behalf of all of my fellow pre-med postbac peers, thank you all for being here today to celebrate this tremendous occasion. Let's make some noise. Thank you to the deans for inviting me to speak today and for deftly guiding us through the last 2 to 3 years. Dean Allen, Dean Colgrove, Dean Carrasquillo, and Dean Sunshine. I'd like to extend a special thanks to my advisor, Dean Sunshine, whose office I have haunted frequently over the last 2 years, and who has fielded my endless questions on the pre-med lifestyle and the med school application process with expertise, care, and encouragement. Dean Sunshine, I look forward to frequenting your office hours during my glide year, as I'm sure the rest of your advisees will as well. Thank you to the Columbia faculty for challenging us in ways we never thought possible that classes with words like intro or general in their titles could. For instilling in us that STEM requires both discipline and inquisitiveness. And even after time away from school, you taught us that our capacity to learn is limitless. Thank you to the tutors and the staff at the Academic Resource Center and the private tutors who post flyers around campus for the extra lift, especially Prof. Daly, who got me through physics. Thank you to the library staff, especially those at the 24-hour Butler Library. I know we all have our favorite spots to get in the grind set. My mom even joked the other day, you might as well move your bed up there. And on that note, thank you to the countless friends, family members, and roommates who have supported us through this treacherous, continuous, and gratifying journey to leave our established careers behind, to start over from a humble place of unknowing everything aside from our collective desire to become healers. Thank you for reminding us to eat meals instead of granola bars. Gently echoing that in order to make new connections between neurons, to be our very best selves, we also have to tend to the gardens of our own bodies. We thank you. To all of you, friends, classmates, fellow pre-meds, and pre-health peers, congratulations. Today marks the official day that in pursuit of the art and science of healing, we have completed the infamously most rigorous pre-health program in the country. Still amidst the first or second year of the pandemic, many of us rearranged our lives and moved to New York to study here at Columbia. As I had already been a New Yorker for a few years, I had the joy of taking the G to the L to the 1, 2, 3, or the G to the 7 to the 1, 2, 3, anywhere from 4 to 7 days a week. I'd like to extend a special appreciation to our commuter community who regularly travel to the Upper West Side from New Jersey, Long Island, Westchester, Queens, and Brooklyn. Returning to school after months, years, or decades away takes great tenacity. As we look ahead to the MCAT and the med school application process, I urge you to take pride in your identity as pre-med and pre-health. This era of our journey will conclude before we know it as we approach our inevitable white coat ceremonies. Though we all may be a bit more haggard than when we began our studies at Columbia, we can now say with confidence that we are encyclopedias of organic chemistry reactions, masters of fetal pig anatomy, connoisseurs of RLC circuits, and wizards of periodic trends. I would often send photos of what I was working on to my close friend who's a NICU nurse at UCSF. These photos included seas of reactions, integrals that never seemed to end, and of course, the hand-scrawled pages of my carbon copy lab notebook. To which they would respond, "That's the stuff of nightmares. You can do it." Thank you to our friends and mentors who supported us throughout and who were there to remind us what is on the other side. As non-traditional students, there's always the question of what were we doing before returning to school and what changed? Did we not love it? There are so many unique reasons that brought each and every one of us here today. My early 20s led me to California, mutual aid activism, transness, and of all things, poetry. As my own friends and family know well, this is not the first time I've been on stage, though this is the first time I've had the distinct opportunity to be on this stage. As a poet, I've read in bookstores, basements, ballrooms, parks, galleries, living rooms, and rooftops, in the playground of language, electrified by the collaborative and spontaneous process of performance. As you can imagine, lots of crowded and sweaty rooms. Some of you might be thinking, but what did you do for work? Well, during my MFA years, I worked as a bike taxi in San Francisco, and afterwards, I worked my way into literary publishing and then finally into literary programming. In some ways, I'd done the impossible. I'd found a way to make a living as a poet. You can probably predict what happened next. When COVID hit, I was working at the iconic poetry project at St. Mark's Church on the Lower East Side. Suddenly, this physical and metaphorical space, the space of performance that I had spent years cultivating both creatively and professionally, evaporated with no return in sight. I was faced with a feeling of powerlessness over my lack of skills and knowledge to combat the climbing death toll of the pandemic. I heard the call to action to hit the books. Today, I am proud to call myself a poet pre-med and future poet doctor. During our time together, the pandemic wore on, wars began, colonial occupations across the globe remained, prisons locked more community members away, and violence that targeted Black and brown people and queer and trans people flooded our feeds during study breaks. Today, we are one step closer to being able to intervene. Let this reality propel us forward to learning how to become the best doctors I know we all can be. While we know that the ultimate medicine is prevention, we still have a long way to go. Until then, let's work towards reducing barriers and access to care and continuing to learn through collaboration and with compassion towards each other, ourselves, and our future patients. In the spirit of nurturing our whole selves, I'd like to share a short poem. Don't worry, I'll spare you from all of the cheesy science poems I wrote in the last 2 years. This is The Mind and State by Fadi Judah, a Palestinian-American poet who also just happens to be a physician. The Mind and State. Does consciousness exist only when you name it? Was the double helix a stranger, the nucleus, the first brain? I feel, therefore, I am. This is more peptide than pep talk. The tongueless mood is sticking its tongue out at us. The mountain wool is shaved into vineyards. Without other, there is no self, and we are always other of our other selves. Is the moon a self? Is wine or grape? The body and the as-if body, taking time, taste, waking slow, rain, healing, grass. Before concluding, I'd like to offer some words of wisdom, which I feel I can give as part of the luminous Elder Premed's WhatsApp chat. When you need it, ask for help. There's a long adventure ahead where we will always be arriving. Nurture the things that make you, you. Our capacity to learn is infinite. Always be curious and never stop asking why. Remember to take breaks and go outside, which is also to say, enjoy your summer, take a trip to the beach. Today is proof that we have what it takes. Congratulations to the Postbac Premed class of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I can see, without a doubt, why you were selected as this year's Class Day speaker. One more round of applause for Andrea. And thank you again, Dr. Del Rio, for your words of wisdom as our amazing class of 2023 takes their steps. We are privileged and honored to have you have joined us today. Thank you, Dr. Del Rio. And congratulations once more to our extraordinary Postbaccalaureate Premedical Program class of 2023. Again, a very special thanks to all of you who have supported these amazing people through this very demanding program. And again, thank you to the faculty, staff, again, friends and families of our graduates. I hope that you will all now join me in the rotunda and the faculty room directly behind the stage so that we can continue our celebration. Congratulations and enjoy this beautiful day with our newest graduates.